Hi, good morning, Charlie Bears. Hi.
Just not the same.
All right, whatever.
Hi, Charlie Pierce.
Stop it.
First of all, I want to correct something that happened earlier in the show. If we eliminate unicorns and fairies from
Yes.
our elections,
Yes.
we're going to have another special election in South Carolina. See, there's no reason for me to go there.
Exactly. Thank you. I already read your tweets because you're dead on as usual. The next person who mentioned Youngkin's brilliant education plan without mentioning that it was pure race baiting horse is going to bring out my inner Hulk. Thank you. That was not an education. It wasn't even a racist dog whistle. It was a foghorn, right?
It was divided up between race baiting horse pucky and policies that endanger the public health.
Yeah.
Those were the two poles of his brilliant education strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be a racist or get sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also subtweeted. Norm Ornstein said, "I wish this Virginia race would lead to serious soul-searching and self-reflection by the mainstream media, who referred to Youngkin's race-baiting lies on critical race theory as clever strategy, but it won't." This was Eric Bowler's whole piece on Monday. How they report on this, the mainstream media, without saying it is not taught anywhere. It's not an issue.
No, but that's been an endemic problem for a long time with the elite national political campaign media. They will accept the truth of a strategy if it works.
Right.
And
right.
I know it takes a lot of analytical, skill to get that kind of thing past your editors, which saying, I don't care if this thing works. It's destructive and untrue. Because then that particular paragraph will get red penciled by or whatever they do now, by your editors instantly.
Yeah.
But that's been a problem. Like I was just saying that this is far from the worst post-election Wednesday of my life.
Right.
The worst one was having to fly to Mississippi after the Gingrich sweep in 1994. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. No, that's what I said, Charlie, at the top. Is first of all, let's not panic. Right, this follows trend lines. In Virginia, after the opposite person parties in the White House. This happens every time. So it would have been McAuliffe bucking the trends. But as we said, this critical race BS and the mainstream media reporting on it. Travis, you said it yesterday. You said I don't like the way the trend lines are going, because that clearly seemed determinative toward the end, because that's when he went full bore on this critical race theory stuff, right? And the Toni Morrison book.
That's when he decided to run against Toni Morrison.
Yes.
Which is part and parcel of the other thing. And I don't think we should minimize the cross-pollination between mask resistance and the phony critical race theory thing.
Yes.
Those things
it becomes school board stuff.
Interestingly enough, Wisconsin has had 81 recall elections this year against school board members. None of them have passed.
Right.
Including the one last night in Mequon, which had actually drawn national media attention and a lot of dark money.
Right.
All four incumbents whom they were trying to recall on the basis of craziness all won. So you can beat this kind of thing on the ground.
Yeah.
But you've got to commit to beating it on the ground.
Yeah.
You've got to put the resources into beating it on the ground and going door to door and explaining to your neighbors that, they believe a lie.
Right. Well, you're right. And as they say, the gaffe that Terry McAuliffe made is in a debate. He said, we're not going to let, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. Which
that may be the dumbest. That may be the dumbest thing I've ever heard a politician say.
Right, but you're right. It goes to the whole masking.
Romney talking about the 42% takers.
Right.
I mean, you've got to find a more artful way of saying it than that.
Right. Right.
How about I don't think parents should be involved in throwing rocks at school board members.
Right.
Or I don't think parents should be involved in stalking school board members at their homes.
Right. Right. Yeah, but you're right. There is a straight line there. By the way, I mentioned that Karens have failed us again. In Virginia, white woman swum back toward the GOP by 15 points compared to 2020, while black turnout was down in some key places. I was saying I think that Joy Reid made some good points last night about Democrats also. I think you're right, Charlie. We didn't think we'd have to counter it because it's fictional. It's critical race theory isn't taught, but clearly we do have to. And she said they have to find a way to more vigorously defend people of color. I think, to energize our base, because I think we just didn't address it.
They've been looking for that since 1968.
Right.
And one way they did it was nominating Barack Obama.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a straight line. Only the mechanisms and vehicles change.
Right.
In 1968 it was law and order. Now it's critical race theory and the 1619 project and all the rest of the stuff that they use to scare people.
Yeah. Well, a former Republican media consultant, I thought, said something interesting. I wanted to get your take. He said there's nothing more perilous for either political party right now than a base that isn't buying into the threat of what can happen if the other party comes into power. Tonight, clearly, Democrats weren't buying the Yumpkin is a Trump proxy scare tactic, and without a base believing in the threat, the losses can and will quickly pile up. I mean, Malcolm Nance will scream at us in just a few minutes, but it's
I am so waiting for Malcolm. Have you arranged to situate his laptop so it can see him on the ceiling?
Yes.
Because I have a feeling he's not going to be down from the ceiling for at least a week.
But Charlie, isn't that the true in 2020? I think Joy Reid again said it last night that this isn't just we disagree on taxes and blah. This party is dangerous. They believe in insurrection. They believe in the big lie. They believe in anti-science nonsense. How do we run against that?
Auntie Joy is right about a lot of stuff very often.
Yeah,
and that I honestly believe certainly that the elite national media is not prepared to deal with the actual threat. For some reason, they don't want to look at it. The Democratic Party certainly isn't. I think Jamie Harrison, I heard him on, it was with somebody last night before I started watching the baseball game, which also went badly.
I bailed for rom-coms early last night. I was like,
I went to the World Series until the Tomahawk Choppers went up 8-0. Then I went to bed. No, I mean, Jamie Harrison was saying this to somebody on MSNBC last evening. It might have been Nicole Wallace's show. You've got, this is a knife fight for the existence of the Republic, and why, people are afraid to say that. I mean, yes, you will scare people saying it.
Yeah.
But you will also tell people what's actually going on, which to me has always been the most honorable way to do politics.
Yeah. Well,
and go ahead.
It also goes to your piece, Charlie, that you wrote a few days ago, but there's one thing missing from the Washington Post massive January 6th report. You said, no, this wasn't a spontaneous event. Yes, it was carefully orchestrated by people close to the former president. The only question is how close it all comes to Trump. But the Post's work leaves only two possible options. Either he was criminally negligent during the insurrection, or he was simply, criminal. And as you say, FBI Director Chris Wray doesn't come out smelling like a rose. I have said from day one I don't trust him as far as you can throw him. It's right in there. He didn't want to piss Trump off.
I don't know if that's trustworthiness or bureaucratic inertia, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
Clearly, something went badly wrong with the FBI in that circumstance.
Right. But you say you said the Post left no doubt where the breadcrumbs ultimately lead. Trump was the driving force at every turn. You quote, as he orchestrated what would become an attempted political coup in the months leading up to January 6th, calling his supporters to Washington, encouraging the mob to march on the Capitol, freezing in place key federal agencies whose job it was to investigate and stop threats to national security. You talked about the delectable side bits like Eastman, blaming the bunkered down Mike Pence for inciting the mob that came to hang him. I mean, it's just all that stuff. But again, is there going to be any kind of real accountability before the midterms?
I don't know. I wish I knew, because then you could. And I'm sure Democratic candidates wish they knew.
Right.
Because they could, they could, tailor their election or re-election strategies accordingly. I don't know. All I know is that there's one of those large black cloud beasts from comic books out there, that nobody seems to want to look at, let alone confront. Because I think there's a fundamental inability, and I don't even know what to call it, but we don't want to believe ourselves capable.
Yeah.
We don't want to believe our fellow citizens capable of becoming monsters.
Yeah.
But they are.
Well, you say
we all are. One turn of the dial and we all are.
Here's the key. Here's the key in your piece. The report is also solid in demonstrating that in many ways the coup is not yet over. Election officials in at least 17 states have collectively received hundreds of threats to their personal safety or lives since January 6th. Concentration in the 6 states where Trump has focused his attacks on the election results. You say there's more to be discussed and digested on the fly because the coup is ongoing. You just said the report reeks of bureaucratic failure and what appears to be a refusal of law enforcement agencies to believe that large gatherings of largely Caucasian males are capable of mass violence. And I thought one of the striking things you point out, Charlie, is officers said they spent weeks working 12 to 16-hour days about the George Floyd when George Floyd was killed. Even though intelligence suggested there was not much danger from protesters, we had intel that nothing was going to happen, literally nothing. And the response was, we don't trust the intel because it was black people. This is like I keep saying, we don't need all these pieces.
That was from the ProPublica piece where they interviewed a bunch of Capitol Police.
Right.
About, I think the piece ran in February.
Right.
So it was in the immediate aftermath of what happened. And that quote was just so striking to me.
Yes.
We don't believe the intel.
Fortunately, one of the pieces Trump is putting in place would be what happened in Virginia before he runs again. So they can just have the legislatures decide who wins. And so
I'm with Bob Seska on that one. We got to keep an eye on which way the House of Delegates swings.
Right.
Because clearly Glenn Youngkin is not going to be a renegade Republican and decline the opportunity to suppress votes.
Yeah.
That he's not Charlie Baker. He's not Larry Hogan, and neither one of them are a bargain either. But
what does it foretell about, because he clearly distanced himself from Trump and didn't want Trump in the state, but of course Trump's taking full credit this morning.
Physically from Trump.
Yeah.
Which I think was smart.
Right.
Whoever advised him to do that deserves, an extra helping of.
Yeah. Someone said he ran as Mitt Romney,
white
basically. Right. Someone said he ran as Mitt Romney, basically. He ran as he ran better than Mitt Romney did, to be perfectly honest with you, because he was coming from nowhere. But he managed not to get hung with the stuff Mitt Romney got hung with. It's kind of elitist, because that's dancing horses and all. But Youngkin managed to avoid that, even though he's quite wealthy himself. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, frankly, he ran a better campaign than Romney did.
Yeah, a businessman with no governing experience. What could possibly go wrong?
There is absolutely nothing that can go wrong.
It'll be great
with doing that. Let's run the government like a business.
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, love you, Charlie.
Hey,
sorry.
Is it time to go now?
Sorry about
that's
the
right. It's time to get to Malcolm Nance.
Yes.
This is going to be fun.
It's all right. Love you.
See you later.
Bye.
Ow.